Today's video is a little bit different. Last night I got together with 5 amazing, wonderful women from the infertility community on YouTube, and we discussed a really important topic, which is how to deal with infertility during the holidays. We had a wonderful time chatting with each other. It was the very first time that we all talked live. We know each other from YouTube and from social media in general, but it was so nice to actually get to know these women and have a conversation about infertility, which is a topic that all of us have suffered with, and have actually a live conversation about it. We recorded the conversation and we decided to publish in all of our channels. So I'm gonna leave a link below for everybody's channel so you guys can check them out if you don't know them. They're all wonderful. They all went through the struggles of infertility and they all deserve a lot of love. So guys, go check them out down below. And if this is a video that you're interested in, keep watching.
All right, hey guys, this is Liv from Live for Today. We have a really special video for you guys today. We're with a group of amazing women, all sort of from the infertility circle. Various YouTubers from a few different channels. We're going to go around and introduce ourselves, but for this video particularly, we wanted to talk about the holiday season. A lot of us are involved in Vlogmas or doing sort of 12 days of Vlogmas or 12 days of Christmas. So in that spirit, we thought we would talk about infertility during the holiday season. It's something that a lot of us deal with and cope with when we're going through the struggle. So we wanted to chat about that and our own strategies and sort of other ways that people can help us. So let's start off with introductions. Let's go first.
All right, I will go first. I am Sarah. My channel is Sarah Loves Peter. I'm from Missouri and my infertility journey started in 2013. We started TTCing, and then through a bunch of medical stuff, I ended up having my fallopian tubes removed because they were blocked. So that fast-tracked us to IVF. And our first round of IVF failed and we didn't have any embryos make it to 5 days. And then our second round of IVF, I got pregnant with my son Bjorn, who's turning 2 in January. And we have 1 frozen embryo left.
And guys, hi, I'm Priscilla and my channel is Follow the Hills, and I do this channel with my husband Rian. And I now have a little girl, a little baby, Lila, but my infertility story started in 2012 when we started trying for the first time. It took us almost 5 years to get to Lila, but basically we moved to Brazil, where I'm from, and I found out that my tubes were in the wrong place. I have PCOS, and I got pregnant. So, yeah, happy ending.
My name's Celeste. My channel is Tim and Celeste. My infertility journey started almost 4 years ago. This is probably going to take too long. We conceived very quickly when we started trying, but it ended in miscarriage at 9 weeks, 4 days. And then we tried again for a year with no pregnancy. I had my first laparoscopy and discovered my tubes were damaged, but realised 2 years later that they're not. I had a laparoscopy over 2 weeks ago and apparently they're all clear. But when we found out my tubes were damaged, I did IVF, 3 rounds of IVF. I've done 4 transfers, failed transfers, 3 miscarriages and 3 chemical pregnancies. And we're still trying.
For me, I am Ayla, and I'm half of my channel, Ayla and Caleb. We have been trying to conceive ever since we first got married in 2013. It's been a long journey, still no baby yet. We first found out that it was due to male factor infertility, severe MFI. So we went the route of IVF. We did 1 fresh transfer, no success, no embryos left over. And then we started trying to find different routes. So we went down donor sperm, did a bunch of IUIs, and then ended up having emergency surgery to get my appendix removed, which then led to my diagnosis of stage 3 endometriosis, which then led to the removal of my ovary. So I only have one left. We thought we'd give IVF another shot, this time with donor, and no success. We had 3 frozen embryos left over, which was very, very unlikely for us. Gave that a shot, had the worst odds ever. We magically, miraculously, I don't know how you'd put it, got pregnant and unfortunately lost that pregnancy. And we decided to try to move on to other routes. So we started an embryo adoption. Unfortunately, that fell through as well. And currently we are on the adoption journey and really, really hopeful that this will be our way to baby.
I'm Tian, and I have a channel called A Mother's Open Book. So we actually have secondary infertility. I have a daughter, she's almost 5, and we started trying, now I'm trying to get years, I can't quite remember, but we started trying and we fell pregnant quickly. So we had a miscarriage, and then after that miscarriage, we assumed I would get pregnant again easily. And then my body was doing some weird things. After a year, we started going to a fertility specialist, and through that, we actually found out that we have severe male factor infertility as well. And that then took us through the journey of doing some IUIs and then IVF, and our first round of IVF successfully gave us our son Oakley, who is now 6 months old, and we have 2 frozen embryos left. That's ours in a nutshell.
So I'm Liv, and I have a channel called Live for Today. We started trying for our baby in early 2012. We're guessing. For whatever reason, we've been really bad at dates. It might have been 2011, we're not sure. But basically, we discovered pretty early on that I likely had endometriosis. I'm in that boat as well. And we tried 3 rounds of Clomid, thinking that we could just kind of bulldoze our way through it. And then we're referred to the infertility clinic, where we started our IVF process, and they determined that we also had slight male factor. So we decided to skip over IUI, and we went straight to IVF with ICSI. We did our first round, and I didn't respond as well as I thought, so we only ended up with 4 embryos. So we transferred 2 on day 3 on our first round, and they were convinced we were going to have twins, and that didn't work out. We had 2 frozen, we were really lucky, and we did a frozen transfer, and that was also negative. So we took a long break. We continued to try naturally. I changed a lot of my lifestyle and diets as much as possible, and then we revisited it at a new clinic, and we did a fresh cycle, transferred 2 fresh. That didn't work, and took another break, and then we finally did revisit it, and we did an immune protocol along with it, and we transferred 3 embryos, and 1 finally stuck, and we now have our baby Beau, who is 4 months old. So obviously, as you heard, we're sort of all various stories, various parts of our journeys, so hopefully we can bring a few different perspectives. So our first topic that we were wanting to discuss was what makes the holidays as an infertile difficult to cope with. So I'll open up the floor to whoever wants to start.
Probably the hardest thing is there's a lot of pregnancy announcements on holidays. I don't know what it is, but everyone wants to announce that they're pregnant on Facebook on the holidays. That was always hard for me.
I think it stings that little bit more as well when it's in the holiday season, because it's already hard as it is.
Yeah.
I think the holidays are a season that you dream, that you're going to spend with your baby and your child, and, and get that Christmas tree full of presents and stuff that's stocking and everything. And it's another year, and you ask yourself, I always ask myself, when is going to be my turn? It's hard. It's always hard.
I think, like what you're saying, it's sort of that blunt reminder that another year has gone by. Like, it's a definitive time frame. Like, another year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you especially when you've had
the next year will be different.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, especially when
Okay.
you've had a loss as well, you start thinking about that, and you think, you know, I would either be pregnant now, or I would have an X month old or a X year old at this point, and you picture a life that you don't have.
Yeah.
I think for me, one of the things was gatherings, whether they were family gatherings or with friends, and having a lot of either kids running around. And then I don't know about you guys, but I always found that, you're at a holiday party of some sort, and you're talking with someone who you maybe don't know, or you're not really friends or familiar with even. And yet somehow the topic comes to, when are you having kids? Or are you married? When are you having kids? And I always found that I found that kind of, hard to stomach, because you're kind of like, I don't know this person. And as open as we've tried to be about our journey, it still was, it's a hard time of the year to begin with. And then to be fielding those questions nonstop through the holidays is tiring, exhausting, and heartbreaking, truthfully.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm from Brazil, for those of you guys who don't know. And, in Brazilian culture, it's kind of expected that you get married and then you kind of like you're gonna have kids right away. I mean, not necessarily, but it is a little bit. And Ryan and I have been married for 10 years, and we just had a baby now, and we chose to not have kids right away, to be fair. I mean, we chose to take our time and and just like travel and hang out for a little bit. But we, before we had a baby, we were trying for almost 5 years, and it's 5 years, of knowing that you're trying so hard, and everybody asking, so you don't have kids yet, and when are you guys gonna have kids? Oh, look at my kid. Why don't you guys don't know what you're missing? We're just like, oh, we know what we're missing. Just don't ask. It's hard.
I think another thing too is like the holidays are such happy times, and you kind of are expected to seem happy, and you might be going through a tougher time than maybe the year before, or whatever it is, and you feel like when you go to those gatherings, or when you do things or see people or whatever it might be, that you have to put on that face or be that brave person that maybe you just don't feel like being that time.
That's so true. And I think too, I know, Ayla, you struggle with endometriosis as well, but I found that sometimes I just didn't feel like going out, and I had to constantly explain why I wasn't feeling up for it, both emotionally and physically. So it was sort of like a double whammy.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there have been countless times where at a gathering, even family who all know our journey and are supportive and everything, like I've had to remove myself. I've had to go lock myself in the bathroom or whatever it is, just because sometimes it's just overwhelming. And I think people don't always see that. They just see it as, oh, we're all just hanging out eating food. Yeah, but there's a lot of faces for me to try and put this smile on for right now, and it can be a lot.
I have a specific memory just like that. I was at a party, and someone took out their phone and they started showing pictures of their friend's newborn baby. And I don't know, I think maybe I just got my cycle or whatever it might have been that triggered me. But I literally went to the bathroom and just started bawling, and my friend came and found me and just like hugged me and everything. And I just think like I had to come back out, and everyone was not really knowing what was going on with me. And I think that was sort of one of the reasons why we ended up coming out with our infertility, because you have moments like that. I think we all have to chat about the ways that we've coped. So obviously we just talked about the ways we've all struggled maybe, but some of the ways that we have learned over the years to cope with those struggles. Some helpful tips for our viewers, I guess, and each other.
I don't know if mine's necessarily a very healthy way, but I actually had a big social media break when we probably, 3 or 4 months into going and seeing a specialist, and things weren't happening. And then the announcements were popping up, and I just, for my own sanity and my own happiness, I guess that's the way to explain it, I just had to sign off, not go on to Instagram, Facebook, anything like that, because the announcements just kept popping up, and it was just getting to me too much. And that was, I guess, my way of dealing with it. I don't know if it's healthy, but that's just what I decided was the best thing for me to do.
I think
I
it's
think a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think that in a moment that, you know, we're people who went through infertility, only we know what it feels like, the loneliness and the feeling of like you are alone, you know, the entire time that you're going through it. And I think it's the right thing to do, honestly, for me at least, was to be selfish in those moments. I think it's like, okay, it's me and my husband, and we're going through this. Only we know how we feel, you know, about the situation. Let's go away. Let's take a weekend off. Let's, you know, it's Christmas. Let's, I don't know, let's stay in our PJs all day and order Chinese food for once, you know, and do things that are for us. And, you know, people can call us selfish. Why are you not coming to my party? I mean, you know, and you don't need to explain to anybody, but I think you need to think of yourself and not feel guilty for feeling selfish in that moment, because it's only we know what we're going through.
Self-care is huge, and that's something I still struggle with. Like, I still have not figured it out, but knowing when to say no, not feeling like you have to do things, not feeling like you have to be a certain way, being accepting that you are in this period of your life, and, you know, knowing what that means for you, knowing what that means for everybody else. You know, this could go into a spiral of baby showers and everything else, but it just, if you don't feel like you can do it, don't. Like, you need to know yourself and understand yourself, and you need to be true to yourself. And that's exactly what you're saying, is that self-care.
Yeah, the way
Oh,
I
Instagram.
would... Instagram? Oh, no, it's okay.
The Instagram community. Get on there. If you're not already, get on there. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, if I would go to parties or something during the holidays, I would drink. So that's like the not healthy way to deal with it.
Like, yeah, sister.
Yeah, well, I'd drink, and then I'd be like, well, at least I can drink. And then I'd cry all the way home.
You're trying to get pregnant, because like for me, endometriosis, it was like I loved red wine, and it would make me be on the bathroom floor in so much pain, so I had to give it up. I'm going to these holiday parties and trying to explain why I'm not having alcohol, you know.
Right, yeah.
Well, that makes it worse, that you're like, the endometriosis not only makes it so you can't have a baby, you can't drink. But yeah, that's not a good way to deal with it. But I don't know, avoiding the conversation, but you sometimes can't avoid the conversation of when you're gonna have kids and stuff. But
sometimes I have, it's just funny to just be straight with them and just to see their reaction. Just be like, well, actually we can't. And they're like, oh. That's
exactly what I would do.
Don't ask the question if you don't want the answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I would say, oh, my body doesn't work. And they'd be like, oh, I regret asking you this question.
For me, I think also a way of coping has been just honestly, like, just crying and like letting it out. So like, you know, obviously self-care and, you know, trying to, you know, take care of yourself and say no to things and all the rest of it. But I think that also sometimes just allowing myself to fall apart was important for me to be able to move forward, and being vulnerable in front of other people. I'm not saying that works for everyone, but for me, when I finally did open up and I finally, you know, just let myself be sad, I was, you know, very pleasantly surprised with the warmth and kindness that I was shown.
I'm the same as you. But the Instagram community for me has been amazing. You know, I can't imagine how isolating this journey would be without it. You know, and YouTube as well.
You find that with the Instagram community, because obviously I'm part of it as well, and I second that. I absolutely love it, and I swear by the ladies that I've connected with. But at the same time, I know that during the holidays, you know, I followed, you know, so Celeste, you're still on your journey, and you're following me, for instance, and, you know, I've got photos of Beau, and that can be really difficult. So I found that although I had my account that was for infertility, I still was being faced with, you know, these individuals who were at a different part in their journey. And that was also I felt like women kept coming and going, and that I was getting left behind constantly. It's like someone for a year or 2 years, and I was going on 4 and then 5 years, and it kept feeling like, why not me? And so the holidays, specifically the Instagram infertility community, was still, I don't know, a reminder sometimes. So I had to tread lightly. I have to be careful in that.
Yeah, I think in that as well, you can, like, and people should be understanding, they're not always, but you should be able to just unfollow if you're not comfortable with it. Some are comfortable with it and others can't handle seeing it, so unfollow. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think people like you guys who have waited for so many years and you've gone through so many struggles, I don't find it difficult seeing you experience this joy that you're so deserving of finally, and it does give me hope that maybe one day it'll be me. So, yeah, I think it depends who it is.
And you've been really good about putting disclaimers on your posts, Liv. Like, you're like, there's going to be a bump picture. Huh? What'd you say?
I said sometimes, not always. I definitely did that at first, and I tried to kind of have a weaning period where I let women who were sort of part of my circle know that there were going to be more photos and kind of ease them into getting used to that so that people could transition away from following me if they needed to. But yeah, I don't always have the disclaimers. I'd like to. It's just, at some point you have to kind of begin the next chapter too. So it's a balance for sure, I think. And it's a weird thing being on the other end during the holidays. I think, yeah.
A wonderful thing.
Any other strategies? It's hard. It's just hard.
Strategies are hard.
Ice cream.
Just get through it. Ice cream, yep. Fur babies.
Yeah, fur babies are great.
Fur babies are the best, yeah.
Maybe a vacation.
Yeah.
Vacation.
Yeah, definitely.
But definitely focusing on your, animals. I'd say that's a good one, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like putting them on your Christmas card if you send those out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess we'll move on to the next topic then, which is our suggestions to friends, family, and just anyone in general in terms of lending support or empathy during the holiday season, sort of what recommendations we have or little things they can do to help.
Don't sook over us. Don't make it a big deal. Just let the days, I don't know, so that's hard to say because sometimes you do want to talk about it, but I guess for me, I didn't like people constantly asking me about it and making me feel like I was a really sad person and I needed all this sooking over. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It was like, I want to be able to just enjoy these holidays as a family when I'm feeling like it. Don't make this a big deal.
Maybe keep inviting you to stuff even if you don't show up every time.
Yes.
I think that's a really big one because I think there's a misconception that we say no and we have to do that self-care and say no when we need to say no, but it doesn't mean that we don't want to in the future or want to have the option. I think that stings more when you start, if you say no too often, people just stop trying, and I think that is due to a misunderstanding that we don't want. It's not that we don't want to be there, it's just that, given whatever point we are in that day or that month or that cycle or whatever it might be, it makes it easier or harder to do that.
Right.
Or maybe even, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, no, Sarah.
Spending one-on-one time instead of big parties.
Yeah.
During the holidays. Like if you want to see the infertile person, go out to lunch with them one-on-one instead of expecting them to come to your party or something like that.
And I would say also surround yourself. Make sure that you have the choice, or you make the choice to surround yourself with, yourself with people who are empathetic to where you are in life. Because I think a lot of times in life, we think that we have to show up. We have to be around, I don't know, a cousin or somebody that is part of our family just because we're family. But sometimes this is unhealthy for us. And one thing that I learned in this journey is that I had to think of me first in a lot of the process. And if I said no, it took me a long time to be open, first of all. For a long time, I didn't tell anybody, neither Ryan and I, not even my closest friends. Nobody knew. when they knew, they didn't know what to do, because a lot of my friends either chose not to have kids or they didn't have kids at that point, so they didn't understand the need, you know, that I was feeling. And so it took me a long time to actually open up to people besides my mom and my sister. I mean, I think nobody in my family really knew. But then once I did open up, I was like, you know what, the cat is out of the box, so I'm gonna, you know, I'll tell them. I mean, you know, I do, you know, if somebody invited me and somebody that is really not adding to my life or not adding to any positivity to where I am in life at the moment, I can't be with that person. So I think being honest and just saying, you know, no or yes, but this is what I need from you in this moment, you know, because we obviously have the ability to give what that friend or family member wants from us as well, but we also need to have the ability to ask as well. I think this is something that I learned how to do, you know, but it took me a long time.
Yeah, 100%.
I think for me also, and this kind of goes across the board, obviously it's not just with the holiday season, but because holidays tend to, like, I don't remember who said it, but be filled with announcements. I think I always appreciated people reaching out to me one-on-one, just via text.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's different, but for me it was always easiest, and I'd be interested to hear what you ladies think, but I liked to just get a text or a message or an email just letting me know and saying, I understand that you might need some time and all the rest of it. And more often than not, if they caught me in a good moment, I would call them right away and congratulate them. And obviously it would be between us until they did their formal announcement, but it would just give me time to kind of sit with that. And then when they kind of did their announcement, maybe on Facebook or whatever they would do, it didn't hit as hard.
Yeah. You get like a heads up and you're ready for it.
Yeah.
Such a thoughtful
and then it
thing
also
to do.
Yeah, and then it also means that when they do their announcement, you don't feel like you're the only one who's not excited for them in that moment. Like, you're at a point there where you're like, okay, I'm okay with this and I'm now happy for you. That makes
Not that you weren't happy to begin with, but it's like you're happy to
hard,
yourself and to show both. They're conflicting emotions. To be able to show both congruently is almost impossible.
The biggest thing, like back to the question, would be just treat us the same. Like I still want to be your friend, and I still want to be your cousin. I still want to be whatever it is, and I don't, you know, like, I want you to be there for me, but I also don't want you to pity me, and I don't want you to look at me in this negative light. Like, there have been times where maybe I'm holding a baby at a gathering, and I'm sure it's not even the case, but I just feel like there's eyes on me, of like these sad eyes everywhere, and it almost makes me not want to hold the baby anymore. Right? Because it like, oh, Ayla's holding the baby, you know? So it should just be Ayla's holding the baby. That should just, all it needs to be is, you know, what it is. And we're going to get there. Everything's going to work out, and we all know that. And this journey is very hard, and it's long, and it sucks. But I'm still me, and just treat me the way I hope that you see me.
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to say at the beginning, but you put it better than I did, Alea. I can't say your name.
Ayla without the K.
Ayla. Sorry.
Okay.
Coping's hard. I don't. We're not even on coping anymore, are we? We're on.
I couldn't remember what question we were on either.
I know.
I have it up on this side.
How to help someone who's going through infertility.
Yes.
To kind of make it easier on someone who might be going through that. I think for me, it's not asking, like kind of further to Ayla's point, is that when you go to these gatherings and you feel those eyes on you when people do know your journey, I think that making sure that you don't, those aren't the settings to offer us that comfort and support. Like, if we're at a gathering or a holiday party, like, you're like, how are you doing? Like, that's the worst part, especially if you're like Sarah and maybe you're having a few drinks. It might be the worst thing that you could possibly do.
Yeah, you don't want to make me start crying.
Holding those tears back, and then just that, you know, when you're on the verge of crying, someone gives you a hug, and you're just a blood mess. It's like, no, I can't accept that right now. Let's go for coffee, and then we can do that, but not right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the not getting emotional in group settings, that's definitely...
Which is where the one-on-one catch-ups become the thing that you want to do, is because you feel more comfortable to let out your emotions a bit more than to be off in the corner when everyone's having fun and you're just sulking. Well, not sulking, but, you know, trying to hold yourself together.
And I guess one thing, I mean, this also, both Taryn and Ayla, you both said this, basically you wanted to be treated, you didn't want to be pitied or anything like that. How did you ladies, or everyone, I guess, feel about receiving like holiday cards with, you know, the family pictures and everything? How did you cope with that? And what would you say to people sending those cards?
I mean, if you were to find out that you were the only one not getting the card, like, I imagine I would feel much, much worse. I think that those things are okay. I mean, I already know, like, for me, if there's a family and they have 2 kids, you know, I already know they have 2 kids and I already see their pictures. So getting that is, you know, it's already in my brain. It's already on my radar. And yeah, and it, like we said, just treating the same, like keeping the relationship where it is. Like, I've already lost so many friendships over this journey, and that could be, you know, different points in our lives or different ideas of what life is meant to be right now for us, or whatever it might be. But I think the most important thing is just, yeah, trying to keep, I feel like my life's falling apart a lot of the time, so I want other things to be intact. I want other things to be able to rely on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you should send the holiday cards. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, that's fine. Yeah, I don't feel like, I don't know, you, Celeste, you answer this for me. We don't do holiday cards over here.
No,
like, we never.
Holiday cards.
No, it's like, that must be other countries thing. Australia doesn't really do the holiday card thing.
But I agree with
a lot of holiday cards, and like it was interesting because I mean, we were going through infertility at a time when all of our friends were getting pregnant, and they were on to their 2nd kid, and we had started trying before them, and you know, yeah, I knew that those cards, like, I knew those kids and I loved those kids, and I was close to those people, so getting those cards was fine. But I think like the extended, like, acquaintances and extended family members that maybe I don't have as close of a relationship with, and that, you know, we're not talking on a regular basis and I'm not getting the support for our journey, I think that those ones are harder to get, if that makes sense. And
just
like,
highlights
I don't want
that you've left behind. Everyone's continuing to have more children and you're still stuck. Trying to first.
Yeah, and I think though, but my point being is that, you know, if I have a close relationship with the people, then getting those cards, you know, warms my heart because I love them and care for them. But the people that maybe I'm not as close with, those were a little harder to receive because it felt more like boasting than because we don't really keep in contact. I just received 1 holiday card a year kind of thing, you know. That's just my take. Not that
maybe you get a lot of holiday cards. I don't get that many, so maybe that's...
I think a lot of my holiday cards are actual holiday cards, not the pictures one, you know, the picture ones with the families. So I never felt like that. But, you know, in the topic of the, like, everybody's having kids, everybody's announcing at the same time. Not last year, because last year I was pregnant already, but the year before was when my sister found out that she was pregnant, you know, and Ryan and I had just started, like, this was like our goal, like, okay, we're here in Brazil, we're gonna do this is it for us, you know. And then my sister got pregnant on Christmas Day, literally. Like, she knows when she got pregnant, but I was just like, that was hard. That was really hard because we were so committed and we had literally moved to a different country. We packed everything, we sold everything, we moved, and, you know, my sister wasn't even trying, and then she got pregnant. And then a month later, right after New Year's, my brother's wife found out that she was pregnant too. And we're just like, okay, what is happening? And then 2 months later, my sister-in-law found out that she was pregnant too. So it was just like, nobody's pregnant. But then, like, all of a sudden, you know, in 2015 to 2016 was like a tough holiday year for us. Really, really tough. Because
I think
all, like,
I think that was the holiday for us, actually, that I think I'm so confused on years. I don't even know what year it is now. But we had like a similar, because we had a miscarriage in, I think it was August. And then there was people that started announcing just before Christmas and at Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And they obviously got pregnant at the same time that we did,
Mm-hmm.
but obviously they were then announcing, and that was rubbish. That's when I actually went, nah, I need to get off this.
Yeah.
I need to get off Instagram and Facebook because this is just too much. It was like watching people go through, like, and it was, you know, timelines were ridiculous at that point as well. There were so many people getting pregnant, and there was so many people who were, you know, pregnant when we would have been, and it was just, it was rubbish. I hated it. that was
rubbish for
Christmas.
me too. Was that 2 years ago?
I think so.
Yeah, 2015,
I think so,
2016.
Yeah, it was like a baby boom.
It was ridiculous. And because we also had Ivy, we, like, doing the whole secondary infertility thing, people then were questioning why we didn't have kids. So it was coming up a lot. People were like, oh, you know, when are you guys going to have another kid? Why don't you have another kid? You better get onto that. And we're like, if only you knew. You have no idea.
Why people can't relax with the questions? Like, people are asking us when we're going to have a second child already. And I mean, our baby's not even 6 months, you know, and we just went through so many years of trying. And
I think that sometimes people are well-intentioned with that, right? They think because you're open about your journey, and then, you know, obviously if you struggled the first time, you're likely to struggle again. But I think what they kind of don't understand sometimes is that the cost associated with doing these fertility treatments or adoption or whatever route you're going is substantial, and it's not just as easy as clicking your fingers and going again. Sometimes
your body and your emotions, like, there's so much of us that we just put into this journey, and it's not like that. You know what I mean? It's planning, it's calling, it's making appointments, it's taking blood. It's endless. And it's more than just, and heck, have a baby when you want to have a baby.
Yeah. And even if you have one through IVF, it doesn't mean it's going to work again. So even then, I don't know. People are asking us too. I'm like, I have a frozen embryo left. They're like, I don't know what that means, but all right.
I'm trying to explain to them the science. It's so funny. They just like, what?
Well, I think that, you know, in terms of like helping cope during the holidays, I think for me, having friends, like, you know, we were talking about not bringing it up in a setting, but like having those one-on-one chats. I think, you know, during the holidays, it's a good thing to like check in with your friends at a time that, you know, and in a way that it's not like, where are you at in your journey? What's going on? When are you doing your cycle? Like, not pressure, but being like, how are you coping with everything? You know, is there anything that you want to chat about? Or, you know, just be like leaving it more open-ended. Depending on how you feel. Like, if you feel up to chatting, then you will. And if you're doing okay and you don't feel like talking right now, then it leaves it, you know, easy enough to just kind of like sidestep. All right. Well, yeah, I guess that, I mean, thank you ladies so much. This was so fun to finally connect with you. I know a lot of us have connected in various forms over the last course of time. But to the viewers, thank you for tuning in and joining us for our roundtable discussion. I really enjoyed it. I don't know about you ladies, if you had fun.
Yeah, it was lovely to chat with you all. Yeah.
If you're interested in seeing another roundtable discussion, let us know in the comments. Maybe, you know, if you have any topics you'd like to see us discuss, or whatever, just let us know. Let us know what you think. And if you're going through infertility as well and you have things to add to these discussions, feel free to leave those down below as well, because I'm sure that they could help someone out there reading through and scrolling through as well. We're going to leave links to the videos and each other's channels in the description below. So make sure to check that out and, you know, touch in with all these amazing ladies. But thanks so much for joining us again, and have a great night. Bye.